Good evening, everyone. This is Elsie Kerns, wellnesswithelsie.com, your chaos to clarity coach and energy medicine expert. So tonight I have a colleague and a guest, Janice Solomon, and she is a life coach, particularly for finding your feminine core, a whole new program she's beginning. And I want to find out more about that tonight. But I also want to say that Janice is a certified homeopath, a yoga instructor, a doula, and a childbirth educator. She's been practicing privately for the last 14 years. She's up in Nyack, New York. Janice, welcome to the show. And I want to find all about finding your feminine cure, your core.
Thanks, Elsie. Thank you for having me on tonight. So this is exciting. It's exciting to be here. We were just talking about this before we came on, that the energy is kind of building up right now, right? Before tomorrow's midterm elections, which I've never, ever noticed so many push for voting. Anyway, so let me tell you a little bit about finding your feminine core, and we'll go from there, yeah?
Yeah, so wait, first I want to ask you,
yeah,
why would a woman want to find her feminine core?
Exactly.
I'm the devil's advocate here a little bit.
No, so good. I'm glad you asked that. So first, let's talk for a moment about what's feminine? Feminine. When I'm using the word feminine, I'm talking about energy. I'm talking about, we all have kind of the way, like we kind of move through the world, right? And we have a balance of all kinds of energies. And we always think of like energy is like, ooh, what's energy? But you feel it, like you feel stuff, ooh, something's happening, you feel it in your gut, right? And of course, you're an energy expert. But I think sometimes people get kind of like, what does that word mean? So there's a lot of different kinds of energy, and we have feminine energy and we have masculine energy, which is different than I'm a woman and someone's a man, right? This is not necessarily about sexuality. This is really about an energy, feminine energy. And feminine energy has to do with giving. It moves out, right? It's caregiving. But it can also, like nature, can be very chaotic, like some of the goddesses, like the goddess Kali, is all about that kind of feminine energy, which could be very fierce and very, determined and even destructive. So feminine energy is not necessarily like meek or shy or this type of thing. It's a certain way of us understanding that. And the core, when I say your feminine core, is that in each of us, we have a center. We have like a place that, and in our bodies, it's our pelvic center. That's where our energy, our feminine core, our feminine energy gets kind of stored and housed. So that's about feminine core, feminine energy.
Well, that's a good explanation. But I want to know, what would change by finding my feminine core energy? What would change for me?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think that, again, we're so used to giving and moving, whether we're caretakers, whether we're parents and mothers, where we're caring for partners, whether in professions like us, like, we care for people, but it's always this. And at some point, there's this, how can we receive it back? How can we let some energy come back in? And if we get ourselves quiet enough to feel that, like, wow, maybe I am feeling kind of depleted. I'm always giving. That actually might feel a little bit uncomfortable, maybe a little bit vulnerable to say, oh, I'm going to let it come back in. But so the reason, what would shift is if we can identify this feminine energy, identify how much we're giving out, and that we could be kind of depleting our sources of energy. Finding your feminine core can help let you receive and reboot and feel more alive, more full, more vibrant, all these juicy, sexy, yummy, youthful, there's a lot of words we could put for, that's what we would feel shift in ourselves when we let the energy come back in.
Well, in Chinese medicine, when they talk about the organs, as you know, you have your yin feminine organs, your yang masculine organs, and your yin organs, your heart, liver, lungs, spleen, kidney, circulation, they are working all the time.
Right.
And they actually support the masculine meridians, which only work when we need them to, stomach, bladder, etc. So even as human beings, we tend to overuse that yin energy all the time and deplete it.
Yes, that's a great point. And it's interesting because yin and yang is a little bit different than feminine and masculine, because within feminine energy, we have yin and yang. Within masculine energy, we have yin and yang. Yes. But what you're saying is true, is that it is that constantly using, giving, on and on and on. And I think that what happens is that there's a point where we either go into complete depletion, collapse, depressed, can't move, exhausted, right? Yeah. Or we're kind of running on empty, but we keep going. We fuel ourselves up with little shots of energy, whether it's with caffeine or, chocolate or, some sugary thing, and then we but we're really still empty. It's kind of like when you charge your cell phone battery. If you only go up 1 bar, it's going to drop down really fast. And we're like that. Many of us, maybe not you and I, but in general, many of us are running on pretty low amounts of energy, like you're saying. It's always working.
Well, I think today, Janice, everyone, the energies are so incredible. Everyone is dancing as fast as they can to keep up with their life,
right.
No matter what's happening. And when we had the elections and a new moon on Wednesday and, Mercury retrograde next week. And it's just overwhelming for everyone.
Yeah. All of that. And we're talking right now via this platform, we have a computer in front of us. So we're also being bombarded all the time by all this electromagnetic radiation. All the electronics we're using, they all are running on energy. Right. And that's effect. So there's lots of places that it's being used up all around us, whether we're running on, like you said, and all the influences, including these things that we're constantly interfacing with. And we didn't have that 20, 30 years ago.
No.
But,
this new course that you're going to teach and go into, based on everything we've just both said, it's pretty easy to lose touch with your core.
Right. It's definitely easy to lose touch with your core. And there's this sense about feminine energy that I think has also gotten blocked. I was thinking about this before we were going to talk today, is the whole feminist movement, right? Which was all about creating equality and that women are seen. And of course, now we have the Me Too movement. We have so much happening with this divine feminine rising more and more and more. And at the same time, we also have to recognize, where is it in ourselves? If it's all spinning around us, like we were talking about with the moon and everything else, where is it with us? Yeah. So finding your feminine core is a series of different practices and using supportive modalities like homeopathy and yoga and breath work to help get that energy stored, kind of recharged again. And at the same time, also recognizing where it is, what it is. And for women in the feminine energy is community, because we need support. There's so much that builds up when we do it together. So that's all the different parts of finding your feminine core.
Well, then women are able to support one another through this course.
Yeah.
And is this going to be, you're going to do some webinars online?
Yeah.
It'll be all recorded.
Yeah.
Nobody has to worry about driving out in this kind of weather.
Right. So I'm going to do Thursday night at 8 p.m. I'm going to do a webinar, and I gave you the link so people can go on to Eventbrite, and then they'll get the link into the webinar. And I also do these live. So if anybody's in the tri-state area on Sunday, I'm going to be in Croton which is in Westchester County at a lovely place called Gather. It's a whole women's center. And we're going to be doing some stuff together. We're going to be learning some of these practices. And really, it's like the question I always say is, do you want to feel more full? Do you want to feel more vibrant? Do you want to feel fierce? Not fierce like I'm going to beat something up, but fierce like strong and powerful. Do you want to feel fabulous? You know, who doesn't want that? I want it. So that's what we're going to be working on together.
Well, and I just want to say thank you to the people that have joined. Maya's here, Monica, Judith, thanks for coming in and joining us again.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of other people that I can't see, but this is really so important today that we can take the time to go within as you're going to work with people. And again, that combination of all the other experience you have, you know, as a yoga instructor, homeopath, the doula and childbirth educator, all centers around your training for women.
Right, exactly. And I've always felt that, well, so there's the women, there's the feminine, the understanding energy. And wow, my thought just went, I was about to say something. Let me just stop and gather my thought. There's also the idea of sharing information, because like what we're doing here tonight and what you do, there's so much information that if you don't go out of the mainstream, you're not going to learn it, you know? And that's a big thing that I feel is really important, is to share what over 3-4 decades I've been gathering and learning. It's my feminine energy. I want to give, you know, I want to share, I want to let it come, you know, and in community, you know, to be able to do that. Yeah.
Janice, what led you into this work? Because I can just see from what you said, your passion for the work that you do.
It's a good question. I think, I mean, when I was young, I loved dancing and dance as a form of feminine energy. I was the only girl in the family, so maybe I got a little extra, you know, I loved playing the piano and singing. I always loved that kind of, and that's very much feminine energy, but I didn't know that then. I was just, you know. And then as I started to, you know, when I went to college and did more things like that, I was always interested in health. I studied dietetics and nutrition, and very early on got involved with all kinds of interesting things about food. And again, that's another part of the feminine. Remember, the nurturing and the giving. So that's all food. And again, I didn't know that was what I was doing at the time. And then eventually I got introduced to homeopathy and childbirth education when I had my first child, and what a doula is. So it was like an organic, I think I was like being led. I was told my astrological chart has more like healer in it than many. So I guess I was just supposed to be moving in, you know, healing and health care all along. And yeah, I mean, I work with men and families. It's not that I don't, but my calling at this moment, I guess it's because this is what's happening around the world, is to, I think I'm just sort of on the wave of the divine feminine. You know, I'm kind of riding that surfboard with everyone else and wanting more and sharing more, because that is what it's about. That is that energy that we're sharing, you know, the feminine energy.
You mentioned being on that surfboard, and it brought to mind that on NPR the other day, they were talking about women surfers, you know, in these big contests always got paid less, the winners, than the men. And that has been now changed so that they will get equal pay as a winner.
Yeah, and that is what women deserve. But it's interesting because that equality and that feminist part, you know, where it came through the feminist, that's not necessarily feminine energy. That's wanting to be recognized. It's actually a little bit more masculine energy, which is very driven to do a project or get something done. But we all have both feminine and masculine, right? We have to find that. And we're because of what you were saying earlier about do. That's really, in a way, that's like, we just can't stop. We're like in this linear line. That's very masculine. We're not even feeling the flow and the fun and the desire and the pleasure. And, you know, that's the feminine. The feminine brings all the dance in, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us again, these events are going to be online and the links will be above. They're free events. Give me the date and the time again that
Sure.
they're happening.
Sure. So Thursday night, this week, Thursday night, the 8th, 8 p.m. online. And when you click on the link that you've posted, that will send you off to Eventbrite, and then you'll be signing up it'll be a Zoom session. So we'll all be able to interact. And then the live, that's online. The live will be on Sunday from 10 to 11:30 at Gather, which is in Croton-on-Hudson. And that we're going to be meeting together. It's a beautiful space. We'll do some gentle yoga and some breath work, and we'll talk about more and more and be in community as well. That'll be a three-dimensional live experience as opposed to a virtual experience Thursday night.
Yeah. Just a reminder to everyone, her virtual experience with Zoom will be recorded. So go ahead and register if you're not sure you can make that day and time.
Right.
You'll be able to watch the replay. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And if at any point anybody is interested in just knowing more, you can always reach out to me, janicesolomon.com. You can reach out to me for a discovery session. And so we'll just, for about a half an hour, we'll talk back and forth. Tell me what's your challenge right now. What are you really dealing with? And I'll share my best resources, which could be finding your feminine core and other things.
Sounds like a very valuable and interesting event, both online and in person.
Thanks.
So Janice, give us your phone number also. I will have it up there.
Sure. My phone number is 914-522-0913. And the website, Janice Solomon, SOLOMON, all O's. And then you can, go from there. The website's being redone, so it's a little antiquated, but you can still sign up for the newsletter and you can still reach me through that as well.
Now, I just want to mention again that we were talking about all the things that you're already certified in, but I know you've also done some business mastery, and you even study with Rachel Jane Gruber, who's very, very well known in helping us find that feminine core. So it sounds like you've taken all this knowledge and put it into a very interesting coaching program.
Yeah. So Rachel Jane's body of work, The Art of Feminine Presence, and then doing holistic business mastery, many years of both teaching and studying yoga, doing core energetics and Rubenfeld synergy, my work as a homeopath, as a doula. It's all just, at some point, I think we start to are able and what's the word, kind of like pull it all together and say, oh, this is really what it's all been working towards. I think that's the beauty of getting to this phase of life, the queen. We have the maiden and we have the mother and then the queen. We're getting to crone, that wise, but in the queen we get to, it's really, I have something to share and I want to share and it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile.
Well, I'm definitely in the crone group.
And crone's all about wisdom.
Yes.
And you are extraordinarily wise. And I learned so much from you.
Yeah. Yes, and vice versa. Yes. One thing, please explain, in case someone doesn't really understand the term doula, what exactly you do as a doula.
Sure. So doula is from a Greek word meaning like support, to be with. And a doula most people know as a doula as a birth doula. So someone who will be there encouraging the mother, assisting the mother. She doesn't have the responsibility of the midwife or the obstetrician. She's really there to support the mother, perhaps the partner, the father, whoever is involved as well. Maybe there's other children present at birth. So the doula is really there as support. There are doulas and transition in life. That's a lot about what doulas do, because there are also death doulas. It's not something I do at this point in my life, but so doulas, again, that being able to transition with someone through from, becoming a mother or the other side of life. Anyway, so yeah, the doula work is amazing, to be honored with being in the presence of all that feminine energy. I mean, birth, you can't get much more intense than birth, all that sound and movement and everything. And then of course the birth itself. So yeah, so I've been doing work as a doula for about 25 years. Mm-hmm.
Janice, all the training you've done feels to me as though you really are deeply in touch with your own feminine core. Mm-hmm. And from this place, you can teach others how to tap into theirs.
Thank you. I want to just say, to follow that thought, Christian Northrup, the famous holistic OBGYN, who then went on really she was really one of the first holistic health women's practitioners to really bring the message. And she's written so much and done so many talks. She said before she wrote her book called Wisdom Through Menopause, she said, I'm not going to write the book until I go through it. And then I can write the book. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me to write it, even if I have information. And I think that's part of what I'm like, in reflection of what you said, is I have gone through so much, and I do really have a sense of what it is to be in touch with that part of me, that feminine energy. And that's why I feel comfortable in sharing it and bringing this program forward, Finding Your Feminine Core.
Well, that's beautiful. Yes. And I love all of her books and her philosophy.
Yeah.
Very supportive. Yeah. And she's very empowering and very strong. That's exactly what you're talking about. How do we empower women in this divine feminine?
Right. As it rises, as the energy is just coming more and more present.
Yeah. It's wonderful that it's finally coming back.
I know. Maybe we've waited many millennium, I think. So, yes.
But here we are again.
I know, that's like the surfboard. Right. Yes. And by the way, I've never even surfed, but I'm just sort of imagining being on the surfboard, like, okay, I'm on the wave.
Absolutely. So it's JaniceSolomon.com, Finding Your Feminine Core, this Thursday, November the 8th, online. What time, Janice?
8 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Is it for an hour? Or?
Yeah, we'll have an hour. And if anybody has any questions, we can always stay on a little bit longer. Mm-hmm.
Right. I think you'll have a chat box on Zoom.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Yeah, great. Okay, thank you, other ladies, for joining us. And thank you, Janice. This is Elsie Kerns, wellnesswithelsie.com. And I love sharing all the information that is coming forth today. So thank you for joining us. And don't forget, get ready to join Janice this Thursday. The links will be up there. Okay, good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.